Hi there, ho ho ho, and welcome to the 68th OctoPrint on Air. I'm your host, Gina Heuske, and welcome to this final OctoPrint on Air episode of 2025. It's actually my last must have been done before the end of 2025 to do on my list, and after this once it's cut and uploaded and published and everything, I'll go into a desperately needed vacation. But first of all, of course, we are going to talk about what I've been up to the past couple of weeks since the last one of these, and also what the next steps will be apart from the mentioned vacation. So without further ado, let's dive right in with what I have been up to. So you might have noticed that on December 1st, I released OctoPrint 1.11.5. That was a very small bug fix release. Actually, it only contained a workaround for a regression in Tornado. The problem was that file uploads with non-Latin 1 characters failed. So, for example, if you had a file that contained an umlaut or a Chinese character or something like that, then you could not upload that. The upload would simply fail with an error, and that was due to a change in Tornado 6.5, I think it is, that actually introduced a bug in Tornado that caused it to hiccup on non-Latin 1 characters in upload file names. And there is a workaround for that in Tornado, but since I did not know about this regression, and until it was reported to me in the shape of an issue in OctoPrint, I didn't roll out this workaround right away. But now this workaround is contained in OctoPrint as well, and so uploads work again, even if they contain more complicated characters from another char set. And to make sure this does not happen again, because this actually happened something like 5 or 6 years ago already as well. And back then I did not do what I did now. I introduced a test case that will explicitly try to upload a file containing Chinese characters during the end-to-end test, which runs on every single push that I do, which runs on every single release and also on every image build and such. So if something like this happens again, I will now know way before it can hit a mainstream release. So that was really nice. And while I was working on that, I actually also spotted and fixed a minor logic error in a fallback helper method that probably never actually saw any action so far, but just in case it will do in the future, it's now fixed. And there was also still, remember when I rolled out 1.11.4, that was also to work around a change in pip 25.3, which required some additional parameters to be able to install legacy plugins, or rather plugins for OctoPrint that are still packaged in a way that the Python ecosystem now considers legacy. That was fixed in 1.11.4 for the plugin manager and also for software updating. But what I forgot was the bit where the backup plugin, when you run a restore, installs plugins, and that is now also fixed, or rather also extended to detect this situation and adjust the install parameters accordingly. And so restore should also now be able to install legacy plugins, even if you're on pip 25.3. What else did I do apart from 1.11.5? Well, I also, of course, worked a lot more on 1.12.0. And that also includes working on the Moonraker connector plugin and the new Bamboo connector plugin that I'm working on together with Jim Neal, which you know as jneal3 on GitHub maybe, or rather the man with the many plugins. So basically half of, or what feels like half of OctoPrint's plugins are written by him, and we are collaborating on this Bamboo connector plugin. And one thing that I did since the past installment of these is I introduced a new multi-storage UI, and this is actually something that I now wanted to show you quickly. If we go over here and look, season's greetings, it's snowing, and this is down to a plugin that I released yesterday, which I will briefly talk about later as well. As you might remember, with the introduction of connector plugins, which allow to connect to other things than a serial connection, or to printers having something else than a serial connection, which enables the Clipper plugin here and also the Bamboo connector here on top of the serial connection that you know and have been using so far. That in order to make that work, I also had to make the printer side file storage a proper storage, a first-class storage as OctoPrint looks at it. So far, we only had the upload folder basically as a storage inside OctoPrint, and now we also have files stored on the printer as a storage in OctoPrint. And that meant that I also had to do a lot of internal work here on the file list and also on the upload manager. And what you might notice is this new little button up here which says local. And if I now connect to a printer, in this case the Clipper enabled machine, the Moonraker enabled machine that is sitting around a meter or so to my left here, then you see that the second button, printer, pops up. And this is the multi-storage UI that I implemented. So basically, we no longer mix all files, regardless of where they are coming from, in one list, which caused a lot of problems in the past already, and now became a full-blown nightmare and headache with full-blown folder support and everything on printer storages. Now, instead, we have this split here. And that, of course, also means that should there be more storages in the future in the shape of plugins, what I can envision is something like online shares or something that you can pull in that way and print from them directly as well and such. They can also be listed here. All of this gets detected from the storage parameters that are currently, or from the currently enabled storages. So if there was now a plugin that accessed your Google Cloud or something like that, then you could see a button Google here or something like that, or Google Drive or whatnot, and be able to click that as well. But for now, it's only local and printer. Those are the two storages that are built in. And as you can see, these are all the files on my printer, which is a lot, as you can see. And as you can also see, it contains all the metadata there as well. The file stamp when it was updated, the size of all of the contained files. It pulls in the thumbnails if it can. It even tries to pull in any kind of additional metadata like filament usage and estimated print time and such. All of that is now part of the storage API of the internal one that this stuff here uses. And not only is the file list enhanced like that, but the upload manager is too, and it even remembers when you open it, it even will switch to the storage you had open in your file list right away. And what that now also means is that all of the buttons up here are storage specific. So if I now add a folder here, it will add it to local. If I click the add folder button here, it will add it to the printer. And the same goes for the upload button down here. So if I now upload a file, it will upload it to the printer directly. And if I have local selected here and upload a file, it will upload it to the upload folder, to OctoPrint's upload folder. And as you might know, uploading to the printer via serial. So if you have the serial connection selected up here and your printer runs Marlin or something, can be incredibly slow. So what I also am doing is I adjusted the serial connector plugin to allow to disable uploads altogether, so that OctoPrint will then see, oh, this printer storage, this particular printer storage here provided by the serial connector does not support file uploads. It also does not support create folder because there is simply no command on the serial interface for that. So in that case, both of these buttons will be grayed out. And if you keep upload to SD enabled there, only the create folder button will be grayed out. I actually can check. I don't know right now how I have it currently configured. Apparently I disabled the upload. Okay, so this is what it will look like if you disable the upload. For the serial connector, the create folder is not supported in general on this storage. But yeah, as you can see, these are now the files stored on the virtual SD card on the virtual printer. And if you disconnect, the printer thingy vanishes again. So this is kind of nice. I never actually had planned for all of this work to have to be done. But it turns out it was so when I tried to make the whole user experience work with what was there already and the new storage backend and such, it turned out that this what was simply not going to fly, and actually building in a full-fledged multi-storage UI was the easier way. And I think that will also long-term definitely be the better solution. What else? Bulk downloads as provided by the upload manager. So if you select multiple files here, you can download them all together. They will get zipped, and then you can download this zip file. So far, this only worked with the local storage, but now this also works with printer storages as long as the underlying connector allows reading files. So once more, the serial connector is sadly out of luck here because that does not allow reading files. It is, so to speak, a write-only interface. The Clipper connector supports that, and I think the Bamboo connector also supports that. I only have tested it with the Clipper connector so far, I think, and there it worked. But with the Bamboo one, it should work as well. Yeah. What still is missing here is something that I still have to figure out how to do UX-wise. Like if I actually have to connect. I actually have to connect to a printer to demonstrate what I mean here. Like when you are on a local printer, this upload to SD button here, that is something that already exists in the upload manager, and right now in OctoPrint 1.11 it does what it says there. It will upload to the printer as long as it is connected and into the printers on the printer's SD. That, of course, does not make much sense anymore if you're not connected to a printer that doesn't have an SD card and on this whole serial connection SD card interface going for it, but instead is something like Moonraker or Moonraker/Clipper or Bamboo or whatever else will there be in the future. So this is something that I would actually prefer to turn into some kind of copy or move across storages. And from the back end, this all has already been implemented. So there is cross-storage move and copy and such, and all of this implemented, and it only is supported if both storages support stuff that is needed for that. So for example, if you're trying to copy a file from one storage to the other, then the storage from where you are copying needs to support reading the file. And the storage where you're copying to needs to support writing the file. And if you're moving a file, then the first storage also needs to support deleting a file, because you cannot move something if you cannot delete the source. So things like that, all of that is already in the back end, but the front end is still something that I need to figure out here. Because that requires a lot of additional legwork in order to also copy, select the copy target and such. If there are folders, on the other hand, you need to get a folder list from the other end and display a target list of folders for the user and such. And that is something that I still want to do here. It might just be that that is something that has to wait for 1.12.1 or 2 or something, but I would prefer to have it still in 1.12.0. Yeah, so that was that. And that was actually what I wanted to show you here. Yeah, what else did I do? I also fixed some UX bugs in the upload manager. Multi-select on Mac OS was broken because I wasn't aware that the the event that I was using to detect control being pressed wasn't firing on Mac OS, because there you're supposed to hit command, and that is the meta key. So now I added basically a browser detection mechanism in there, that if it runs on a Mac, then it will detect that it is not supposed to look for control being pressed, but rather for meta, and then everything works there. And I also noticed while debugging that shift select was no, actually I also got a bug report about shift select being off by 1. So if you selected one item and then held shift and clicked on another, then it would not actually select what you were expecting to get selected, but one less item. And while I was hunting that down, I noticed that the whole shift select thing was behaving completely differently than for example my file selector thingy here on Linux GNOME. And so I changed that, and now it behaves more like your generic file explorer should. And that will also be fixed in 1.12.0. Then in the Moonraker connector, I finally found what turned out to be a deadlock issue. I ran into this weird situation while testing that when I canceled a print from the printer, the connection would simply stall altogether. I wasn't even able to disconnect anymore, and that puzzled me greatly for a while, until I finally figured out that the whole connection was running into a deadlock because the communication with the printer itself is single-threaded, and something was still blocking inside of. So basically, if I was trying to send something while I was receiving something, and that sending was then I was waiting for the answer to the thing that I was receiving. So basically, I bit myself or rather the code bit itself into its tail, and nothing was working anymore. And I don't know if you recently saw this little funny picture from this crossing street there in it wasn't Sweden. Norway, I think. Oslo, could it be? I think it was Oslo, where four buses completely blocked each other. So basically I had that, but in the connector. So I found that and I fixed it, and only earlier this week, and I'm very happy that I finally found that. And basic webcam stream integration now also works. I wanted to show you that actually. So let me switch back here again, disconnect from the serial connector, reconnect to the Moonraker printer. And ta-da! Look, here is a webcam provided by the Moonraker connector, and it is, I'm not sure if this works. It works. And as you can see, it's actually a live feed. So that is also new. You don't have to use that, of course. You can also use the classic webcam, but if you connect to a Moonraker enabled printer, and that provides information about webcam on, I think I checked 2 or 3 different locations, because everything there is always so complicated with customizations and everything. But yeah, it will try to detect that and use it. Yeah, that was that. And also, sorry if you hear it. That particular printer can get a bit noisy when the fan goes on. Yeah, and if you disconnect, then of course this thing here also stops working. But yeah. Then I also did a lot of work on the Bamboo connector, which as I mentioned, I'm working on together with Jim. I pushed some PRs to the used library that we settled on there as well, which turned out to actually be maintained by a user of OctoPrint, so that or I'm not sure if he's actually still actively using OctoPrint or if he's just hanging out on the Discord. But anyhow, that made communication really easy. So that is also working very well already. So we can start and control jobs. We can fetch the file list. We can even get the thumbnails. So that is a bit of a messy thing because you have to download the whole 3MF file that is on there, then unpack the thumbnail and cache it locally. And I'm not yet completely happy with this solution, but I don't yet see another option either, because it's not like I can just unpack the thumbnail on the printer, because the printer has an FTP server built in that I have to connect to with a limited amount of commands that are available. And yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but there is a lot of progress there. And as I think mentioned last time, the goal will be to have both the Clipper connector, the Moonraker connector, and also the Bamboo connector ready for... I'm not sure yet if ready for production, but definitely close to ready to production and ready to be tested by more printers out there, or rather by more people with more printers out there, at the time that the first RCs of 112.0 are out. Yeah. What else did I do? Oh, so much. Yeah, one thing I did a few weeks ago, there's this big 3D printing 3D printing conference not conference. Conference is the wrong word. Expo in Frankfurt, which is like 20 minutes by train from where I live. So I went there. That's called Formnext. You might also have seen that from some of the influencers online on YouTube. Visited for one day. Gotta say, I was very shocked to see so many proprietary printers with lots of vendor login and everything. And yeah, I thought about talking about that now and how horrible I find this development in general. But then I decided it's soon. The holidays are coming. It's soon going to be Christmas, and I would prefer to not get into a bad mood this close to my vacation. So let's just say I did not particularly enjoy this visit, despite the nice people I met. So not sure I will do this to myself again. But yeah. On to something nicer, which is what you already saw a bit here, in the shape of the snowfall. And that is a plugin that I released yesterday after working on it for something like maybe a day or 1.5 days or so of development time went into this. So really small thing, but something that I had been meaning to do for a while now. The thing is that the achievement plugin that is bundled with OctoPrint by default logs yearly statistics. So it has to log a lot of statistics in order to be able to push achievements out to you, like you have printed so many hours or something like that, or you've uploaded this and this many files now, and for that it needs to capture the stats. And when I developed the achievement plugin, I also already built into that it would also log or keep infos about yearly stats. So look at the current year and not only save the overall stats that you can also see in the about dialog under statistics, but also accumulate the stats for the current year. And the goal with that was to be able to do something like this, what you're seeing here, which was basically being able to generate some yearly statistic kind of image that you see so much also on social media for Steam gaming, or for Spotify, or for Strava for your sports or something like that. So now that is something that you also can have in OctoPrint. You only have to install this plugin, which is released on the plugin repository as of yesterday. And the only thing is you need OctoPrint 1.11 for it to run, and you also need Python 3.9 Plus for it to run. As a reminder, Python 3.9 is already end of life, so this is already an outdated Python version. For those of you who are still on Python 3.7 and have ignored my requests to please update, I'm sorry, this will not work for you. You can update your Python version. There is an FAQ entry that is going to help you with that, and that is also going to get displayed to you by the health check that tells you that, by the way, your Python version is outdated. In any case, this is what you can now generate if you install the plugin and if you kept the achievement plugin enabled throughout the year, because then you will also have stats for that to show. And these are actually fake stats now, but you will get information on how many prints you completed in the year, how long you spent printing in total. This also includes cancelled prints or errored out prints, what the longest successful print was, on which weekday you printed the most jobs, how many files you uploaded during this time, and also how many OctoPrint versions you saw. So if this only says 1, you didn't update, and that's bad. But yeah, and this will also work in years to come. I might change the look every year with a little update before December, but yeah. If you install this plugin and generate this image, then please, 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 please post it on our Discord in Show and Tell or on the forums or something. Or if you post it on social media, then please use the hashtag OctoPrintWrapped. For me, it is absolutely amazing to see these things. And so far, I have seen very little of them. So you will do me a huge favor by sharing these wide and far so that I can actually fall over them and see them. Especially if you go on Mastodon, then, because that is my preferred social medium. But yeah. And for those of you who have achievements disabled, there is still a reason maybe to install this plugin, because it also adds this snowfall option that that you just saw on my instance here, where it constantly is snowing now. You can disable or enable that. By default, it is disabled, but you can just enable or disable it using this little button up here, the snowflake button. And you can also get your wrapped image here. You can also find that in the About dialog under OctoPrint Wrapped, but it is also easily accessible from the navbar via that. This is, by the way, my development machine, which explains, I hope, the weird stats here. But especially the huge amount of OctoPrint versions, because as I said, it's the development machine here. But yeah, this is what this looks like and how this works. Both buttons and the plugins functionality in general are only enabled between December 1st and January, what did I do, 10th, including the 10th. So these buttons will vanish outside of this time, and the snow, of course, will also stop falling in that case. And also, if during that time you go here, you will get told that to please come back during the season. Yeah, but. Yeah, this was a wrap plugin. That was a huge amount of fun to implement, I have to say. It went fast. It was really only, as I said, really only something like 1.5 days of work. But yeah, it's small things like this that make this job a lot of fun. So maybe I should do these more often. And it definitely is a lot more fun than bug hunting and complex implementation tasks and all of the maintenance and such. So yeah, nice offset for that, definitely. And a good thing to do as one of the final tasks of the year. Speaking of which, first of all, back to me, of course. What are the next steps? I already mentioned it in my intro, a Christmas vacation. I'm taking a while off and do everything but code during this time. I need to catch up on sleep. I need to de-stress. This year has been incredibly straining, not just because of work. There were also a lot of things in my private life and also some health issues that caused me a lot of stress, and so I'm just happy if this year finally ends. So yeah, I will probably still spend my days or plenty of time of my days in front of a screen, but for gaming instead. So either on the TV with the Steam Deck in docked mode or with my Steam Deck in handheld mode, because this is my primary platform for gaming these days. And yeah, in general, just try to spend time anywhere but in the office. There's also a binge watch session coming up right after Christmas with my best friend and my partner for the second half of Stranger Things, and then of course also for the finale. I think that was right. And hopefully also the one or other board game session. And I also got some new Lego sets that still need building, the Game Boy 141. And I don't know yet what I get for Christmas, so maybe there is also some fun to be had there. We'll see. Yeah, but once I'm back from vacation with hopefully my batteries recharged and such, my plan is to finalize everything for 1.12.0 RC1. The last time I did one of these, I was still hoping to get this first RC out in 2025. But then I had to build the multi-storage UI and also found some issues still in the process of that. And so, that was pretty basically when I decided against it. Because so the whole thing is, a release candidate should be something that when you push it out, you can't find any problems with anymore, and you consider something that you would feel okay with releasing for the public if no one else finds anything during the testing of said release candidate either. Right now, this is not yet the case for the stuff that is in the dev branch and going to be 1.12.0. So that just simply felt not ready yet, and I hope that I will be able to do that soon. So either January or maybe early February is my current idea. That late because vacation and whatever also ends up on my to-do list right when I come back from vacation. Usually there are a bunch of issues or something that I then also need to take care of, and sorry. And so that is the idea here. And that is also my first priority at the moment. I really do not intend to push out another 1.11 release unless something really horrible comes up. Because every single release like 1.11.5 costs me, let's say, a week altogether, because like preparing whatever goes into it plus the actual release, and then also plus whatever support issues get triggered by the release, which thankfully with 1.11.5 so far was none, but we also have had releases in the past where that was different. So that means I try to not do them too often. It's always just a lot of overhead. But that is actually it, I think. The next one of these will also be in late January or early February, I think. Also, don't forget, it's OctoPrint's birthday on December 25th. I did the first work on what was going to be OctoPrint back during my Christmas vacation of 2012. So OctoPrint is actually turning 13 this year. And on December 25th, 2012 was when I first publicly posted about this. And so this is what I have deemed OctoPrint's birthday. This is also probably around that time that I actually did the first print through it. And then immediately posted about that. It's turning, as I said, it's turning 13 years this year, so that is quite a lot. It would be a teenager if it was a human being now. And they grow up so fast. It did a number on my life, that's for sure. Also, if you print on yeah, if you can, try printing something on December 25th. That is all I'm going to say, if you have the achievements plugin enabled. Yeah, but that I think was that. Yeah, that was really all that I have in my notes here. In that case, first of all, of course, happy holidays and a happy new year, and everything that you wish for yourself in 2026 to come true and all of that. And of course, also, as always, thank you for being here. I hope it was interesting. Stay healthy and happy printing. Bye bye.